Hello, it's Rafael Gutierrez, and welcome to the new year. Uh, Today, I do already have something set up, and that's why you're looking at this at a different angle. And what I wanted to do is I actually wanted to compare. Well, a lot of times people talk about the backhand, and they only refer to it as a setup technique. They almost want to believe that a backhand doesn't have enough power to cause injury for some reason. And I actually wanted to test that idea. So what I did is I actually put two little pieces of tape, one's above, one's below, so you can actually monitor how much force goes into a backhand versus a regular punch. Now I'm not really interested in the numbers as much as seeing if the level of intensity is about the same. The number doesn't really matter too much. It's actually the intensity because that's all. What I want to see is a backhand weaker than a straight punch. And that's actually what I'm going to start doing. Now, before I do that, I did want to actually give you guys a quote from Nietzsche. A lot of you know that I really am a big fan of pretty much academics and philosophy. And Nietzsche has a really interesting quote, and I'll tell you why I'm bringing this up. And there are two types of people in the world. There are those that want to know and those that want to believe. The idea behind that is this. You have different ways to look at stuff. You can actually go out, try to find data for yourself, try to find out what's going on, and see what's actually happening. You can rely on other people to do it for you, and if they're doing experiments that have measurements, you can actually determine that. But there is going to be a problem with how the measurement is obtained and what is actually being used. When I actually looked at forces, I ended up going back to when I did the first one, I should mention, using this, all I wanted to see is could this be used to determine force, and it was. There were some people who questioned whether the validity of the measurements. And one of the things I actually told people is, well, when you look at the sites, the person who actually distributes this, when you look at the reviews, you have people everywhere from industries, actually, big industries, some of them being Fortune 500 companies, using this from anywhere from microchip manufacturing to aerospace. So, and one of actually the best reviews was from NASA saying that they couldn't have done a project without this. Now, if you think about it, how accurate is it going to be if a microchip company such as AMD or a aerospace company or NASA are using these things to get data? For my money, you're not going to get anything better than that. Now, there is actually something that I will talk about. Some of you may have watched that movie Moneyball about the A's and how someone was able to use statistics to show something. One of the things that happens is what that they were saying is some of these people who were not being recruited because it didn't look the way people expected. Now, what people expect doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters is numbers, and especially if you want to get the right thing. We don't want to be the people who believes in something. We don't want to say, oh, well, I believe it because I believe it. That's how we end up getting really odd things such as no-touch knockouts and a lot of different things, which I will talk about later. If we actually want to know, we have to use something that gets us data. Now, how this actually works, and I actually put this, it actually works by this one has two layers, and you put them together, and wherever the two surfaces impact, that's what it records. Now, I don't care about, like I said, most of the time I'm not even going to care about the number. All I want to do is see if one technique can be measured with another. And the intensity is actually what I'm looking at. So that's one of the things I'm going to do here. And always remember, you have to decide what type of person you are. Are you going to be a sheep and just believe what people are selling you? Or are you going to go out and know something because you get the data that you want? Now, I'm not going to argue about how or why data is obtained a certain way. But I will tell you one thing that I ended up finding. One of the people who actually measured, not very few, there's only one or two that were actually academic. Most of them were actually done through entertainment purposes, and what they actually measured wasn't the peak force, it was actually the total force. Now, this may actually not make sense to some people, and this is pretty much what peak force is. Peak force is how much force goes in pretty much at the maximum point of impact. And it only looks at one thing. It's how much maximum goes in. Now, if you think about it, if you hit something, let's say we take a baseball going 90 miles per hour hitting you. It will hit you and then drop. What you'll notice is you may not actually get a lot of force moving you. You may not actually get any movement. but the peak force, the force that you're getting, is all that force in something like 0.1 seconds. On the other case, if we took a 1,000-pound car and had that hit you at I think it was something like 0.1 miles per hour, the force is actually the same, but one of them's going to cause damage, the other one is not, unless there's a wall behind you. And so that's actually one of the things to look at when you're looking at force. Are you interested in the peak force, or are you interested in the total force? And a lot of the studies that I ended up looking at, as I looked more and more, they were looking at total force rather than peak force. Peak force is what causes damage. So now that I said that, I am going to be trying to look at the backhand and see if it is something that could be used as a power punch, or if it is, like people think, is just a setup. And so I do have the setup here, and I'll stand up. By the way, if there's any questions on this, I can't have the product. I think it was on the last one. You can look at that. I will put it down in the comments if anyone's interested. And hopefully this, like I said, to me, this is actually one of the greatest things that can happen, because you're measuring direct peak force of this. So here we are. Now, what I'm actually going to compare it to is a straight punch. So I'm going to use this one up here for my straight punch. So all I'm going to do is punch once here, and then punch here. Now I'm actually going to use the second one here. Some people say the second one may actually not get as much force because of the fatigue. I don't think that one punch is going to fatigue me, and I'm just going to warm up here. So if I punch here, it's a quick little punch, no big deal. Now this one is my backhand, and so we do have some measurement. I don't know if it actually went through today or not, but we'll take a look at it after and see what the intensity of both were. Didn't actually get a view there or here. Actually, I did get one here. Let's see if maybe I have to go a little further in. Yeah, okay, I get a little long. So on that punch, like I said, soft, it didn't actually register, so I'm going to come in and do a second punch. So here, and backhand here. Now we actually see that I actually did get some view. I did try to use the same force, mostly to see how much force we can actually get into it. Now I'm not really too interested in, all I'm interested in the quality of the force. And one of the things I noticed is with the same amount of power on both punches, what I did notice, and I'll show you here, is you do have, you can't really see it, you do have actually the same intensity. Now, I won't stop at that. I will actually do this one more time, and what I do, like I said, again, what I notice is the intensity is about the same, and it actually looks pretty good. I will check the force with the scale, if you just hold on 1 second. Okay, so as I come and look at the intensity of the hit, I actually find that both of them have the same intensity. Now, like I said, I could have gotten more power on both of them. I didn't want to go into too much, but the intensity comes the same. What that means is the amount of force that you develop in a straight punch or in a backhand really depends on the force that you develop from your core. You can use the backhand as a power technique, and actually the numbers I got is actually really good, especially for a soft technique, a technique that I didn't do full power. So what I am saying is, if we look at this, the intensity that we hit a backhand versus a straight punch, it actually doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which technique you use. Both of them can be used as a setup or as a finishing technique. If I want to punch hard and I want to slam across with the whipping, I will actually get an intensity. Now, For those of you who like numbers like me, I will tell you that according to this, I'm going to check the time, the pressure and everything. Hold on, I'll pause. So looking at this chart again, it says that in San Diego right now the temperature is 18 degrees and the humidity is 51. So if I come here, 18 degrees would be roughly, I'll go with 20. 51 would be somewhere around C. So when I hit this and I look at the force that was produced by the backhand, again this is 70, 17, and 50, so area C. And we use exposure. There it is, momentary exposure. It actually does put us at over 1,000 psi, so again it actually would be the same. Now a lot of people will say yes, the surface area is different here versus here, and one of the things I notice is it's actually not that different. You actually can see the surface area about the same in both knuckles. If you think about it, I'm actually doing my backhand with these two knuckles here. I'm punching with these two knuckles here, so the point of contact is about the same. So one of the things that actually comes out is if you are looking at this and you're looking at what's the difference between a backhand and a straight punch, what we are seeing is that the power produced by a backhand is about the same as with the front punch. It's just a variation of technique, and you can use it for different things. For instance, if I'm coming to the side of the face here, a backhand would actually be powerful. Now, the question is the technique that you're using for a backhand. Are you just whipping your forearm here, or are you using your core and your entire body movement? If you watch the video, you will actually see that I am using the core, even though it looks like very little energy is here. That actually has to do with the version of technique that I use. I hope this is something you find interesting, and if you, like I said, if you enjoy, please considering sponsoring by looking at one of the books. If you disagree, please show me why you disagree. Pretty much the truth is to say, well, I disagree because I don't believe it. That goes back in the whole idea, well, I just believe because I want to believe. If you disagree with this, show me your work, show me your numbers, and with that we can actually see if you have, we can actually have a rational argument rather than a argument based on data versus beliefs. I hope you enjoyed this and have a nice day.